Picture a sign by the highway at night, 50 feet tall, a great green arrow studded with running lights, a yellow star up top, and the words Holiday Inn glowing in white neon against the dark. For about 30 years, that sign was one of the most welcome sights in America. If you were tired and far from home, and the kids were asleep in the back, that green glow on the horizon meant the day was finally over. A clean bed, a known price, no surprises. They called it the Great Sign, and the man who put it there had built the whole company out of a single bad vacation. Let me tell you about that vacation, because it really did start there. In the summer of 1951, a Memphis homebuilder named Kemmons Wilson loaded his wife and 5 children into the car and drove to Washington, D.C. It should have been a nice trip. Instead, it made him furious. The trouble was the motels. Back then, a roadside motel was a coin flip. Some were fine, some were filthy, some were a little frightening. You never knew what you were paying for until you had already paid for it and carried your suitcase inside. And almost all of them did the same maddening thing. They charged extra for the children. Wilson would pull in, ask the rate, and then watch the clerk add $2 a head for his kids. A family of 7 got punished simply for being a family. By the time he got home to Memphis, he had decided to do something about it. You have to picture what the roadside was back then to understand why this caught fire. There was no chain you could trust. There were tourist courts and mom-and-pop motels, some lovely, some grim, strung along the highway with hand-painted signs. You drove until you were exhausted, and then you gambled. You walked into an office, looked at the clerk, looked at the room, and decided in 10 seconds whether your family was safe sleeping there. Sometimes you guessed wrong. Thin walls, a sagging bed, a lock that did not quite catch, a bathroom down the hall you shared with strangers. And the price was whatever the man behind the counter felt like charging a tired family with nowhere else to go at 10 at night. That was the system Kemmons Wilson drove home from, stewing the whole way. He told his wife he was going to build a chain of hotels, hundreds of them, all across the country. And he said more or less that he expected to have the first one open within a year. She did not entirely believe him. People rarely did with Kemmons Wilson. He proved them wrong about as often as he breathed. He had an idea, and it was a simple one, which is usually how you can tell a good one. Every hotel would be the same. Same quality, same kind of room, same dependable clean bed, whether you stopped in Tennessee or Texas or anywhere in between. You would never again have to gamble at the end of a long day, and the children would stay free. That was the rule, baked in from the start. If a child under 12 shared a room with the parents, the child cost nothing. He had felt that sting himself, and he would not pass it on. He opened the first one in 1952 on Summer Avenue in Memphis. 120 rooms, every one of them air-conditioned, with a swimming pool and free ice and a restaurant and a telephone in the room. For the American family on the road, it was something close to luxury at a price they could actually afford. And he thought of everything a traveling family actually needed, not what a hotel wanted to sell them. Free parking right outside your door so you did not haul the suitcases far. Free ice. A dog was welcome. There was a restaurant attached so you did not have to load everybody back in the car to find dinner. Every room had its own bathroom, which sounds obvious now and was not on the cheap end of the road in 1952. The swimming pool was the masterstroke. Wilson put a pool at every Holiday Inn right out front where you could see it from the road. To a child melting in the back seat after a long, hot day, a glowing blue pool behind that sign was the most beautiful thing in America. Parents learned that the promise of a swim could buy them another 100 miles of peace before sundown. The name, by the way, was almost an accident. A friend of Wilson's was drawing up the building plans, and while he worked, he had an old Bing Crosby movie playing in the background. The movie was called Holiday Inn. He scribbled the name on the blueprint as a joke, a placeholder. Wilson saw it, liked it, and never took it off. Now, before I tell you how big this got, do me a favor and tap that subscribe button. If you have ever felt that particular relief of finally finding a decent place to sleep on a long drive, you are the exact person I make these for. Stick around. The part where it all comes apart is the part worth staying for. So, how big did it get? Enormous. Almost unbelievably fast. Wilson franchised the idea, which meant other businessmen could build their own Holiday Inn as long as they followed his rules to the letter. And those rules were strict. He sent inspectors. He set standards for the beds, the towels, the cleanliness, the signs, the food. A Holiday Inn had to be a Holiday Inn anywhere, or it was not allowed to use the name. That discipline is what made it work. He even started a training school for the people who ran the inns, so that a clerk in Ohio and a clerk in New Mexico greeted you the same way and made the same bed the same way. The whole promise was that a Holiday Inn held no surprises, and you cannot promise that unless you control every last towel. By the early 1970s, there were more than 1,400 Holiday Inns operating across all 50 states. For a time, a new one was opening somewhere in America every couple of days. The company started calling itself the nation's innkeeper, and for once, the slogan was just true. It became the largest hotel chain in the world. A Memphis homebuilder who got angry about a $2 charge had built the place where America slept. And out front of every one of them stood the great sign, that 50-foot tower of neon and arrows and that one yellow star. It cost real money to build and real money to light, somewhere around $13,000 apiece, back when that was a serious sum. Wilson did not care. He wanted that sign to reach out and grab a tired driver from half a mile off. And it was a beautiful, gaudy, wonderful thing. The great arrow ran with hundreds of chasing lights that seemed to point you straight into the parking lot. The star sat up top like something off a Christmas tree. And down the middle was a marquee, a changeable board where the local innkeeper would post a word or two. Welcome, teachers. Congratulations, graduates. Happy anniversary to somebody nobody driving by had ever met. It made a roadside hotel feel for a second like it knew you were coming. It worked. People did not look for the hotel, they looked for the sign. The sign was the promise, and the promise was always the same. You are almost there. You can stop now. Everything inside is going to be fine. Then, in the 1970s, Holiday Inn did something that tells you exactly how confident they had become. They tried to give the family even more reasons to stay. They built the Holidome. If you are a certain age, that word just lit something up in your memory. The Holidome was an indoor courtyard in the middle of the hotel, covered by a great roof, with a swimming pool at the center of it. Around the pool, they put a putting green, ping pong tables, video games, shuffleboard, lounge chairs, sometimes a sauna. It was an entire little indoor world. Outside, it might be raining or freezing, or the middle of a January night in Ohio. Inside the Holidome, it was always warm, always humid, always glowing with that pool light, and to a kid, it was basically heaven with a chlorine smell. A family did not just pass through anymore. They checked in on a Friday and never went back outside until Sunday. The Holidome was the destination. Hundreds of them opened across the country, and a whole generation of children grew up thinking a swimming pool under a roof was the height of human achievement. If you were one of those children and your stomach just did a little flip at the word Holidome, then we are the same kind of person, and you should subscribe. I keep the lights on for people who remember the chlorine smell. Now let me tell you how all of this got taken apart. For a while there, Holiday Inn had it all. The roads, the rooms, the sign, the Holidome. It was the safe, sure, friendly middle of American travel, and it seemed like it would last forever. It did not last forever, and the way it came apart is quieter and sadder than you would think. A few things happened at once. The interstate system kept shifting where people drove, and some old Holiday Inns ended up on roads that no longer mattered. Newer hotel chains came up underneath, some cheaper, some fancier, all of them, chipping away at that comfortable middle where Holiday Inn lived. And it got hit from both sides at once. Underneath it, cheaper chains rose up, the bare-bones places that sold a clean bed for a few dollars less and nothing else. Above it, fancier chains went after the business traveler with nicer lobbies and room service. Holiday Inn had owned the comfortable middle of the market, and the middle is exactly the part that gets squeezed when times get lean. And the company changed hands. The founder stepped away from the business he had built, and ownership eventually passed to a large corporation overseas, the kind that buys a beloved name and runs it as a number on a page. Later, it folded into one of the giant international hotel groups, the sort that owns a dozen brands and treats each one as a line item. Holiday Inn was still big, but it had stopped being special, and in the hotel business, special is the whole game. Then they did the thing I still cannot quite forgive. They killed the great sign. In the early 1980s, the company decided the 50-foot signs were too expensive, too costly to build, too costly to power, too old-fashioned for the sleeker look they wanted. So they ordered them taken down, all of them, across the entire country. Crews went out, hotel by hotel, and pulled the great green towers out of the ground. The neon went dark. The yellow stars came off. The single most recognizable object in American roadside travel was scrapped to save money on the electric bill. They replaced it with a smaller, flatter, cheaper sign. Sensible, I am sure, on a spreadsheet. But you cannot see a sensible sign from half a mile off with a car full of sleeping children. The thing that had said, "You're almost there, you can stop now," was simply gone. And here is what I find telling about it. People did not write angry letters about the room rates or the breakfast or the carpet. When people talk about missing old Holiday Inn, almost always, the thing they actually miss is the sign, because the sign was never really about the hotel. It was about the feeling of arriving, the end of a hard day on the road, the promise of rest, the proof that somebody up ahead had a clean bed waiting and would not charge you extra for your own kids. The holodomes faded too. They were expensive to keep up, and a holodome that is not kept up is a grim, moldy, echoing place that smells of old chlorine. Most of them were torn out or converted. The pools went quiet. The ping-pong tables disappeared. The indoor heaven of 1,000 childhoods got turned into ordinary meeting rooms. Holiday Inn, the company, is still very much with us. To be clear, it survived. There are Holiday Inns all over the world tonight, and you can go book one in about 30 seconds on your telephone. But the thing Kemmons Wilson actually built, the specific promise of it, that is the part that vanished. The towering sign, the holodome, the sense that this exact place with this exact name was looking out for a tired family in a way nobody else bothered to. A few of the old great signs survive. Collectors saved some. One or two stand in museums, lit up again, 50 feet of green neon glowing indoors where no exhausted traveler will ever need them. People stop and photograph them and go quiet, and the younger ones do not understand why the older ones do. I understand why. I have done a lot of night driving in my life. I know what it is to be bone-tired with a long way still to go, and to come over a rise, and to see that green glow up ahead, and to feel my shoulders come down from around my ears. So if you remember that, if you fell asleep in the back seat and woke up to a holodome pool, or watched for that yellow star out the car window, leave it in the comments below. Tell me where you were headed. I read every one, and the roads you remember are the roads I go back down. And subscribe if you would, so the next of these reaches you. There are a lot of dark signposts along the old highways, and I intend to account for everyone I can. Kemmons Wilson got angry about $2 and built the place where a whole country slept. He did it in about a year, the way he said he would, and he kept doing it until there were more than 1,000 of his inns standing watch over the American night. The hotels are still here. The anger is long forgotten. But the green sign that meant you made it, that meant rest, that meant somebody was glad you came. That one they threw away to save a few dollars on the electric bill. And I do not think, even now, that they ever understood what it was they were throwing away.